Alright. I just went to go check on the deck. Me building decks is probably not the most fun thing. I already had this Shaman deck constructed. Actually, I'll just go through it a little bit. Thrall has, I think, one of the more extensive lores, and that is because he is quite, well, as it says in his lore, he's one of the most influential characters in the Warcraft universe. They talk about his intelligence and his wisdom and his peacekeeping nature, or his ability to unify different factions quite well. And the deck under deck construction, we see Windspeaker here. I think that's to do with the elementals. I don't think it's to do with the factions. But basically, a lot of the Shaman's cards, even if we go into crafting mode, you can see that a lot of them are to do with the elements, the elementals. And that's, I guess, where the basis of the Shaman's power comes from in the Warcraft game. But according to his lore, he also, somewhere around here, he talks about the control, yeah, here it is. Yeah. Yeah, here it is. Thrall took the noble and courageous path to bring peace to the raging elements, endangering himself to save the lands and the people he holds dear. Thrall entered the chaotic maelstrom to stabilize the rift between the elemental plane and natural. So this is reflected in his card choices, many of which are to do with the elements. And we have Unbound Elemental, we have the Fire Elemental, we have Dust Devil, we have Earth Elemental, Al-Akir, the Wind Lord, all of these to do with the elementals. We also have totems as well. Totems are a big part of his strategy, and that comes from the Shaman's playstyle in the Warcraft game. He also has a Hex, showing his mastery over spells, I suppose, like the Mage. Him and the Mage are the only two that have Hex. Each one has their own different kind. I don't know if there's any more to say about this outside of... Yeah, we'll just go to play. It's interesting though, because he also worked with the dragons, which are neutral cards. So in this game they don't have any allegiance, but I suppose they had more of an allegiance towards Thrall than most characters. But I guess giving him all of the dragons would be kind of imbalanced in a way. So
the elements will destroy you.
Sometimes the lore doesn't have a direct okay, let me put it this way. The cards for the neutrals, I suppose they come from higher deities. I don't know how to explain it. Anyway, so I'm playing against another Thrall. which is interesting, because then we'll see two different kind of playstyles here. His deck probably is more formed than mine is. YOLO. We'll go with this deck. This hand.
Job done.
So the goal of the Thrall usually is to control the field with totems. These totems have a variety of effects, but they also act as field presence. Which isn't something I've talked about, but it is field presence basically is the number of cards you have compared to there, and how much you can control the board. And this is what the Thrall kind of does best. He controls the board by having lots of minions, I suppose. That's interesting. Usually you don't want to leave a totem alive, per se. Because the totem alive can turn into problems like this for him. Just because they have a 0 attack value, which is probably a throwback to the how the Shaman fights in Warcraft, but it also kind of represents, I've written it here, it represents his peacekeeping nature. And he's gonna do that, which is fine by me. So, this is an interesting game. One of the strategies you can use is use the... oh wow. Use the totem. And this is another thing about Thrall. He has very powerful cards for low cost, but it costs him later. I referenced that to his expertise and his knowledge of how to mitigate it. Of how to mitigate mana usage.
What to do?
Yeah, one of the strats you could use is, since the totems are quite spammable, you get them out and then you buff them, which is sort of the idea with my deck here. He's doing it in a different way. He's using the Master Swordsmith. I'm just using stuff like Raid Leader. Either works.
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Handle it!
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
Some of the... so you can boost the totems, but you can also use the Shaman spells, so more like a mage, and control the field. And use your totems. Relatively, you boost them and they can attack. So basically, you can work with less minions and you can have more spells because you have a minion generating spell, basically. And this comes with the control aspect. He's hexing. Is actually going, so I'm just gonna deal with it. There were these neutral cards like Defender of Argus, which before some patches were probably a staple. And staples in card games are far and few between, but they exist for a reason. So Argus is somewhat still a staple. You would only use a couple, like one of them maybe nowadays, compared to back when you could use two. Another one being Novice Engineer. What this has to do with lore, I don't quite know. Maybe someone else could come up with something like that. I suppose staples also, if they fit into everything, then
I wonder.
they're an aspect of every hero in some way. Like the Novice Engineer would probably be like a craftsmith or something, so that every character had to use them at one point in their journey or another. I don't know.
Put this apple on your head.
Knife Juggler synergizes well with a lot of spam decks, so I can just do this. Should have done that first. So right now I'm using a lot more control than he is, and he's still got lots of options. So this isn't going in my favor too much. Yeah. Definitely not going in my favor too much.
The Frost Wolves stand ready.
That is another card that's synergized as well. I suppose because they're both orcs? No. There's bigger reasons for that.
My shield for Argus! My shield for Argus!
Actually, I find it interesting that the Shaman gets the Fire Elemental, while the Mage... I suppose it works with the Mage getting it, but she could get the Fire Elemental too. She would... I suppose she wouldn't need him because all of her spells are fire-based, or a lot of them are doing damage. And this is some of the synergy you can have with neutral cards. Cult Master, when any of the things dies, you draw a card, and Frostwolf Warlord for every minion you get +1/+1, which basically means that your spam tactics, you can suicide cards to get, you can suicide basically free generation for free cards, and you can push your advantage with him.
Into the breach!
We must cleanse the Sunwell.
So right now he's pretty much won because he's been able to issue more control than I have. At this stage in the game, that many cards with this after turn 10 usually isn't a good amount when I only have one, so he can do what he wants. This is basically how the Shaman controls.
Yes.
Into the breach!
Elements.
But even with the few cards I had, I was able to issue a little bit of control, and if this were running in my favor, I would be mostly on top of it. But since he also is a Thrall, and since he has more of the advantage, he's going to win. I could concede, but I kind of playing it till the end.
Well played. Well played. Elements guide me.
So I'm just gonna suicide here. I'm on a remove. I don't like to waste time. So even though I'm losing quite a bit today, which isn't that good, but I hope I'm still proving some of the points that I've made in my analysis.